Okay, YouTube. Obviously, I'm really tired, but probably has more to do with the fact that for the first 4 hours I've been reading the transcript trials for day 7, and this time I typed it out, a lot of the main points so I get the names right and the information correct and the numbers correct. Because unlike the last one, which was more personal testimonies, this one is one personal testimony and one unbelievably long um, analysis of the power of gay and lesbian people. What's really interesting is actually midway through all that, they go into closed door sessions of church leaders and the meetings and the minutes and what have you, what they said in these meetings of what I can only call hate meetings. I mean, wow, they hate us. I've known that for a long time, but wow. Okay, so here we go. The first witness called by our side is Ryan Kendall. He's 26 years old, gay man, and his testimony is that he was being His testimony is that he was being bullied at a Christian school in the 3rd grade because the kids thought he was gay. His parents pulled him out of the school shortly thereafter, and his parents discovered he was gay because they read it in his journals when he was about 13. And if I remember right, that's a difference of 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and maybe even 8th grade. So, obviously the kid was hiding a long time and had just written it in his journals, and his parents reading his journals? What the fuck? His parents condemned him, telling him he would burn in hell for eternity. Sounds familiar. At 13, though. Jesus Christ. He was sent to a Christian therapist for gay treatment. After this first attempt failed, Focus on the Family fuckers sent him to a program known as NARTH. He said he stayed there for a year and a half. I know Focus on the Family very well. I don't know NARTH all that well, but it even has the word homosexual in its name. It's a program to rehabilitate homosexuals. Anyway, he is now a member of the Denver Police Department, a police officer, and has stabilized his life after a very hard 10 years. He's now 26. I cannot even imagine. He is involved with the gay community now and helps in many ways with the LGBT. The cross-examination was quite short. The lawyer is asking questions. This is the hater's lawyer. He's asking questions regarding his lack of professional opinion, so he's making it seem like his opinion doesn't matter, on so-called controversial conversion therapy. He is making it obvious that the defendant had no choice in going to the therapy, and that is why it didn't work. What an ass. He is also trying to make it appear like the parents' fault and not the therapy. Yeah, both their faults. Now, I should also mention that he had to leave his parents at age 16. He had to get the Human Rights Organization to help him leave his parents, because at 16 it's difficult. He got on drugs and what have you, was manic depressant, almost committed suicide, what have you. Distraught life. And, I'm very happy to see him rehabilitated, not as a gay person, but away from the religious nonsense. Now we hear a redirect to the young man from The Good Guys. He is asked if he met anyone in the program who was said to be cured, little quotations. He said, this is the defendant again, said he was introduced to a guy named Kelly, who then, when they were alone, he told him he was pretending to be straight for his parents and religious sakes, and later that night he was going out to a gay bar, which is very similar to the same things I heard at the when I was put through conversion therapy willingly, by the way, and there was no one there who was actually not gay. They were either faking it or scared out of their minds. Okay. Next witness is called. It was seriously like that short. I mean, it's probably 200 pages, but there's 20,000 pages in this. Next witness is called Professor Gary Segura. He is a professor of political science and obviously an expert in his field. This is our witness, by the way. Good guy. Minority groups in the United States, of gays and lesbians in particular. So he knows what he's doing when it comes to gays and lesbian minority rights. No objection is made by the haters to his credentials, and so we move on. The first point he is making is that gays and lesbians do not possess a meaningful degree of political power. They are not able to protect their basic interests and I can't read that word, their interests into law and secure those rights. So he's saying we don't possess a meaningful degree of political power and we don't have the power to have our own rights, which we all know is true. We have to fight for everything. The second is that relative to some other groups that currently enjoy judicial protection, gays and lesbians are actually in the statutory and constitutional sense worse off than some of those groups when they were granted judicial protection. And he even refers to 1970 women's activist rights being, in the 1970s, women had more rights than we do due to the fact that they're more popular. They could, if they wanted to, take over everything. I mean, women outnumber men, and therefore could vote more, technically, to enact anything they wanted. The total projected cost for the qualification effort has been set... Oh, no, I'm sorry. So obviously we can see why the good guys would pick up this guy as an expert witness to testify that gays are a minority and in need of protection. Now, the witness is after tons of reading discussing the money that religious organizations gave in to enact Proposition 8. And here are the numbers. ProtectAMarriage.com, hate them, has surpassed $37 million in donations. Now, these aren't just numbers coming from the blue. These are their own personal records that the federal government and the Supreme Court said they had to give up for the trial. Now, from the Catholic side, they spent a total projected cost of $1.5 million or $1.25 million has been raised and spent and sent to that organization. The haters at this point, and I mean the lawyer haters, at this point are livid, and they are, trying to object to every piece of evidence that they call our eyes only and stop the evidence of the money transaction paperwork. So far, the judge is not heeding them and letting it go into evidence. There was one case where he didn't let it go into evidence, and that's because they have like this core group of people. It's 6 people in a church that they say need to be protected under some kind of religious right. And I'm trying to go faster than a lot of time here. And the judge right now is ruling on that. And so far, and at the very end, he does rule that they can't be protected, that this is all public knowledge and needs to be public knowledge. So, fantastic. More information has just been released today from the churches and what have you that we're going to have. And if they didn't want us to have this stuff, you can imagine they don't want us to have that other stuff. Cannot wait to see it on either tomorrow or Friday. You may have been known that the Mormons were out. They had walking in neighborhoods the past 2 Saturdays with like 20,000 total volunteers for this. The evangelicals are also to blame. They had 5,000 pastor conference calling many times. We have the political and financial support of groups such as Focus on the Family, Family Research Council, America's Family Association, the Arlington Group, and many other equated church boards on the evangelical side. The cross-examination is trying to say that the gays have enough political power. Example, the Human Rights Organization. He's also asserting that gays have legal power. If they don't, after going through more legal jargon, I'm really getting nowhere in my mind. The defense finally stopped talking. So that's all I have time for. The guy just went on and on and on and on about this obvious political power we have, and we don't. Bye, YouTube.